Hey everybody, it's Dr. Brockenshire. It's that time of year again. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you haven't been outside. Allergy season, back with a vengeance. This is taken from the pollen.com app. You can get it for your phone, you can run it on the computer. I like it because it's zip code specific. It'll tell you where the sensors are. I want you to take a look at today's forecast. 9.3. In my book, anything over an 8 will produce the typical symptoms of allergies, which happen to mimic the same symptoms of COVID, by the way. So the scratchy throat, the cough, the runny eyes, fatigue, joint aches, digestive disturbances, brain fog. Those are all symptoms of allergies. Now, one thing you can do to differentiate allergies from COVID, and I want you to remember that COVID produces a dry, hacking, unproductive cough, whereas allergies typically produce a wet cough where you can clear your throat. So let's put everybody's mind at ease on that one. Another interesting point about this app is it gives you the weather, and it tells you what the primary pollens are. So here we have oak, ash, and birch. So if you have a birch tree in your yard and it's pollinating, you're going to be exposed to pollen. Now, if you say, well, I don't have allergies, everybody is reactive to pollen. We all process the reaction differently, okay? So if you live in Michigan long enough, you're going to have allergies. These are the spring allergies. It looks like we're going to have a decent week. Temperatures are finally warming up. So the trees and the grass will be pollinating soon as well, to add insult to injury. So get the app, check out your local zip, and if you're thinking of traveling to another residence somewhere in the state, up north, etc., check out the pollen up there because it does vary quite a bit within 50 miles. The other thing to consider is because we're in the Great Lakes, mold is a major allergen. And so we'll know mold is kicking up because it'll be windy and people's sinuses will start to be sore. They might get headaches, your teeth might hurt. Those are classic signs of sinus inflammation. So we need to talk about some of the tools that I use to help people with the symptoms of allergies. And these particular tools are used to support the body for the healthy elimination of histamine. Obviously, I said sinuses, so we're going to be talking about Sinatrol. Most of you have used Sinatrol in the past. Anything related to the sinuses, I want you to use Sinatrol. Some of the big active ingredients in Sinatrol include andrographis, turmeric, bromelain, which is an enzyme. You've heard me talk about these before. There's 100 milligrams of berberine as well. And so that acts on the digestive system to keep inflammation out of your sinuses. A little bit of licorice, but there's also 750 milligrams of N-acetylcysteine in 3 capsules. And I want you to pay attention to that N-acetylcysteine because that goes by the abbreviation NAC or NAC. And our bodies use that amino acid to make glutathione, which helps keep our livers clean. People with the worst allergy symptoms typically have sluggish livers and weak adrenal glands. So we want to make note of that. One of the strategies I use in the office from a naturopathic point of view is to help strengthen and tonify the system, not so much to cure allergies, but to reduce the weaknesses that caused the allergic response in the first place. So we're talking about environmental allergies. Now, people ask me, Doc, do you have a natural antihistamine? And that's kind of a misnomer because nature doesn't really work that way. However, D-Hist, most of you have used natural D-Hist before, comes in capsules. And if you're like my kids, it also comes in chewable wafers. That tastes pretty good. The ratio, it takes 2 chewables to equal 1 adult. So if you want to maximize the dosage on the chewables, your average child over the age of 6 can do up to 8 a day to help manage symptoms. Adults taking the capsules can do up to 6 a day to help manage symptoms. The primary ingredient in DHist is quercetin. There's a lot of evidence that quercetin helps reduce and eliminate ragweed symptoms. In fact, one of the things that's really neat about quercetin is the longer you take it, the less you'll need it. The secondary ingredient is called stinging nettle. Now, if you look up stinging nettle, you might find a lot of research on it for prostate health, but it's also really good for clearing histamine from the body. So these are capsules, and we need about 6 a day to take a full loading dose to help with the symptoms. A lot of people who have used these in the past didn't notice much difference because they didn't take enough. So do read the label and follow the instructions. Now, one of the problems with quercetin is it's very hard to get into the bloodstream. So one of the ways around that is to put it into what's called a nanosphere liposome. And that's where the Hista Aid comes in. So a lot of you have tried the Hista Aid recently. It works really well for sore throat. You can use it topically for any itch or bump, particularly bug bites. It is a liquid, so it's a pump. You have to open it and pump it. Now it has liposomal quercetin in it, so that bypasses the digestive problem that happens with quercetin. This type of technology creates instant results. We've had really good results with food allergies. If somebody eats, say, gluten or dairy and they're not supposed to, you typically take 4 to 6 pumps of the Hista Aid as needed. If you wake up in the middle of the night and you've got a sore, scratchy throat or your sinuses are a little thick, I recommend you do 3 to 4 pumps of the Hista Aid when you wake up. And the other thing to keep in mind is the Sambucus intrinsic. So scratchy throat, stuffy sinuses, we want to do Hista Aid and Sambucus. A lot of you have the Sambucus at home already. The easiest way to know when you need it is to remember this acronym. Sambucus is for the mucus. So if you're mucusy, sticky, gunky in the throat, take a couple droppers of Sambucus. And one of the questions I get all the time is, what is a dropper? Well, that's a dropper. How much goes into it? That is a full dropper. Okay? A lot of people will do 1 pump and they'll get that much. That's not a full dropper. I need it to come up to about here. So the way you do that is pump it several times and that will load the dropper. Okay? Put it into the back of your throat and that'll clear out a lot of that gunk. Smart people, if you like to sleep with the windows open this time of year, I would leave these 2 on your bedside table with some water. That way if you wake up you can handle it. The Hista Aid also has liposomal vitamin C in it, some luteolin, and another compound that I haven't talked about yet called diindolylmethane, which goes by the acronym DIM. And that compound can do a lot of good for you, particularly from a hormonal point of view, from a detoxification point of view, a methylation point of view. Keeps your tummy clean, keeps your liver happy. So Hista Aid is doing a lot of good for a lot of systems. Another standby I've used for years now is Allerplex from Standard Process. And Allerplex, much like Conjaplex, is to help the immune system deal with a stressor. Allerplex is for you if you're getting a lot of respiratory symptoms from allergies. So if most of the symptoms are up here, sinuses and eyes or itchy ears, you need to use the DHist and the Hista Aid. If the symptoms are in the chest, I want you to consider using Allerplex at 3 twice a day. It has all the whole food components required to help the lungs drain and help the body eliminate mucus. And since we're talking about mucus, another thing that's really good for helping eliminate mucus and reduce the formation of mucus in the gut is still vitamin C. So we've got the liposomal form of vitamin C to aid in digestion. And we have the famous powdered chocolate camu camu liposomal vitamin C that will give us C and camu camu. Both are very useful for allergies. Now with kids, one of the things I've found is they wake up, they might be wheezy. They have a hard time clearing their chest. And anytime that happens, if you take some of the ginger tussin, roughly a teaspoon, into some warm water, that'll help them clear their throat. And then we need to teach these kids how to cough up a lot of that mucus. So the ginger tussin is symptomatic relief, and that goes for adults too. If it's the end of the day and your chest is feeling a little thick, or you've got a lot of mucus, or your throat's sore, any of those mucous membrane symptoms, go ahead and try the ginger tussin. Teaspoon into some warm water. Drink it like a tea. It's very soothing. It's also really soothing on the stomach. So anybody with a tummy ache, and you'll see tummy aches for people that are swallowing a lot of mucus, particularly children. The ginger tussin helps with that tummy ache from swallowing too much mucus. The last thing that I've been really successful with using over the years, particularly in the Great Lakes, has been a detoxisode called Allergens Antigens. Now this is from a company called HVS. They're based out of Naples, Florida, so it's American made. This is a water-based homeopathic. So Allergens Antigens is homeopathic, and it has all the compounds to help the body ease up on the reactions you're having. So, for example, if you're allergic to grass and you have to cut the grass, you typically take one capful, so you take the cap off and fill the cap, or just take a swig out of the bottle before you cut the grass, and it'll help your body process all of those pollens and aid in the elimination of that histamine. But remember, at the end of the day, allergies are really a function of stress response, hormonal health, and inflammation. And these are the things that we work on all the time. So over the course of our treatment plans, allergies and their symptoms do improve. With that being said, we still have to live in the Great Lakes where nothing is normal. And when you look at that forecast, who knows what's going to happen? It's Michigan. Prepare for everything and hope for the best. And if you're going to be doing mulch, make sure you wear a mask, because that's when you wear a mask. Mulch is famous for being contaminated with mold. So there's our clinical tip of the week there. If you're doing mulch, wear a mask. And definitely take some D-Hist.